everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this Netflix review. The fact that you are willing to sacrifice a few minutes out of your day to consume my content really does mean the world to me. For those of you that are unaware, I review as much as humanly possible to be reviewed on Netflix. So if you're ever curious about whether something is good, bad, or completely mediocre, come to my channel and I'll let you know. So guys, subscribe to not miss out on anything. Today we're going to be talking about the new Netflix movie, Awake, which really pleasantly surprised me and was actually very different to what I was expecting. So let's dive right into the story. We follow Jill as she tries to protect her two children, Noah and Matilda, as there is this apocalypse. And this has to be one of the most unique and interesting apocalypses I've ever watched in a movie or series or even video game. Ultimately, the human race is ravaged by this, I want to call it disease or plague, but that's not really what it is. It's an occurrence of an event, and we don't actually ever get fully revealed as to what that event or cause is. But ultimately, humans don't have the ability to sleep. That sounds weird, I know. I know that sounds lame, actually. But when you can't sleep, you get grumpy. And then when you really can't sleep after multiple days, you start to hallucinate, and then you go crazy, and then you go mental, and then you do bad things. And that's ultimately what this movie is about, is how does humanity handle not being able to sleep, and how does that impact the rest of the world? That was very, very interesting to me. And basically we follow Jill as she tries to protect her two children. And that's a story I can get behind and enjoy. A single mother who just wants to protect her children during the end of the world. So, guys, honestly, the story surprised me. I enjoyed it, but let's talk about the other stuff that was really good about this movie. Performances. Performances were fantastic. So Gina Rodriguez plays Jill, and she was fantastic. She carried this entire movie. I loved her character. I thought she was fantastic. I thought she was brave. I thought she was bold. She is a good, strong female character in the sense that she doesn't automatically overcome every situation. She's not perfect. She doesn't get things not wrong. Like, she screws up multiple times, but she is someone that you can support and get behind. Similar in the same mold to Sarah Connor. That's a character you can enjoy and get behind. And it's not because she's perfect, but it's because she's real. I do feel like they really kind of started to push the whole feminist agenda towards the end by having like only our primary antagonist and protagonist are female and this and that. And ultimately, I know a few people are going to get annoyed with the female or feminism undertones of this movie. But if you just watch this movie ignorantly, and you just watch it as a viewer that isn't looking for these political undertones, you're going to really enjoy this movie, just like I did. So yes, acting across the board was great. And what was really interesting about watching this movie is that the actors have to act tired. That sounds weird. I know. But it's very interesting to tackle. So how are you as an actor going to portray a three-dimensional character that isn't fully themselves because they're groggy and they're sleeping and they don't know what's happening and they're just trying to figure life out? How the actors portrayed their sleepy characters was really engaging and really brought you into the world, and you could really believe that these characters hadn't slept for days on end. Sound design was another great attribute of this film. You can literally watch the opening sequence, no eyes, just listen to the soundtrack, and you are going to get the perfect setup for the mood of this film. Brilliant stuff right there. Sound design was great. Then we also have cinematography. Fantastic. There's this one running shot where Matilda's running and the camera's just following her, and it's rough and it's jagged and it's shaky cam, but it's immersive and it's great. I'm going to say this, sorry. I know I led with the shaky cam. There isn't a lot of shaky cam in this movie. There's shaky cam when there needs to be, and it's engaging and it's great. The cinematography across the board was really, really good. I enjoyed a lot of the camera shots. But that one of Matilda running is definitely the one that stuck out to me. Then there's also this very clever shot near the beginning where there's a car crash. Yo, that was shot really well, very intensely. I enjoyed it. What I'm going to do is, I've obviously been singing this movie's praises. I'm going to take a step back, just chill, give you guys a spoiler warning because this is for the end of the film. In fact, this is the conclusion to the film. So this is a spoiler warning. Do not watch this. If you don't want spoilers, jump ahead. Ultimately, the ending was by far the most upsetting part of the movie for me. Ultimately, I want to spoil, but I also don't want to spoil, sorry. But I'm going to be as non-spoilery as I can with this topic, if that makes sense. ultimately, one of the characters discovers the cure to this plague or this cause or this disease or whatever is causing humanity not to sleep. They discover a cure for it. And they discover it in one of the weirdest ways possible. And I don't think this character should have actually had the intelligence to figure out this development. But ultimately, Jill, who can't sleep, who throughout the whole movie, we've kind of gotten the sense that, flip, this mother knows she's going to die and she has to look out for her children. That's what this whole movie is built upon. I wish the movie just had the courage to let that happen. I wish the movie could have just said, this mother loved her children so much that she sacrificed herself to keep them safe. I wish that was the case. But no, it had to be a happy ending. And of course, the entire family survives at the end. And I was a little bit disappointed by that. If I'm going to watch a post-apocalyptic movie, I kind of want there to be some death in my apocalypse, you know what I mean? But that's not to say that it was necessarily bad. That scene was shot really well and it was incredibly tense. I'm trying to not spoil it, but I'm going to have to. There's literally this sequence where Noah and Matilda push Jill underwater to kill her because the cure to this is actually to be killed, then come back to life through like defib or through CPR. Then automatically, for whatever reason, you beat the curse or you beat the cause or you beat the plague and then you can sleep again. But ultimately, you have to die then come back to life. And so Noah and Matilda realize this, and they realize they have to drown their mom in order to save her. And that was a tough scene, actually. Do you have the courage to drown your mom, to kill her in an attempt to save her? That was an interesting one. So even though I didn't necessarily like the ending of the film because it's a happy ending, it does pose some really good questions. Are you willing to kill someone to save them? That's a tough one. Anyway, I'm still processing my own feelings about that. So don't say because I didn't enjoy the ending, automatically the movie's bad, because that is definitely not the case. I do just want to mention one thing quickly near the end here. I feel like a lot of these horror movies that we're getting out now, even though this movie isn't necessarily a horror, but it's more of a thriller, we're getting this trend where, and it's both a clever trend, but I feel like it's getting oversaturated very quickly, where our main protagonists, our humans of the story, have one of their senses or one of the things that humanity needs to survive taken away. We've seen this with Bird Box, where people can't see. We saw this with The Quiet Place, where people can't make a noise. That we're having these like human senses taken away from us. And then of course with this one, it's sleep. And I know that's not necessarily a sense, but that's an essential aspect of humanity. So it's clever when you take away something humanity needs. How are they going to survive or thrive or adapt? That's an interesting concept. But I feel like it's done to death now. I feel like that needs to take a back seat. We just need to chill. Anyway, I will also say, if you enjoyed movies like Bird Box or A Quiet Place, then watch this movie. Because they do have a lot in similar thematically, stylistically. It's great. So if you enjoyed those movies, I would highly recommend you watch Awake. But guys, thank you so much. You guys are the best. You're awesome. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And I hope to see you again in another review.